If I'm getting started creating a new Windows Store app, I can just download the SDK and the tools and use a quick start sample application we've exposed. In this case, I already have an app that I want to wire up. So let me just go ahead and copy out those credentials. And I'll just go back to our application, and I'm just going to paste those in. And so what you'll notice here, as part of an application that I've provisioned, is that I get an endpoint as well as a key to go and access mobile services. So I've pasted that into my app. And from here, let's go ahead and take advantage of some of the other capabilities of mobile services. So I've connected up, I'm writing the code to connect up my app, but I also want to go and store some data. And so from the Data tab, I can quickly and easily go create additional tables. So I'll create a table called Event, and I'll add that in here. And so the tables are actually backed by SQL, and so I could also get access directly to those tables. But what's really convenient about building mobile service apps is it's really simple to go write code against the SDK and store and query data. So in this case, let me wire up my events page, and I'm just going to add in here, I'll just use a code snippet for the sake of time here, a quick one-line statement to just insert an event. So I'll get that reference to that event table, and I'll just insert a new event item. Let me also go wire this up to query, and with that, start up my application. So start up my app here, and let me go ahead and add in a new event, and save that. And just to show you that this is real now, it's connected to our back end, let me go back over to mobile services. I'll refresh here. And what we should see here is that our new event has been added in for VS Live. And so that's now stored within mobile services. So I can query and store some of that data. Another thing I want to take advantage of here is support for identity and authentication providers. So you'll notice on the Identity tab, I can configure a number of different identity providers, including Microsoft account, Facebook, Twitter, and more. And so I've gone out to each of these services, I've enabled their authentication support, and I've pasted in the keys here into this one view in mobile services. Now let me wire that up into our application. So what I want to do here is flip back over to code. And for my login page, I've got a couple placeholders here where I can just go wire up that code. Let me use a code snippet again. And just with one line here, you notice I can use the mobile service API, call login async, and specify in this case, I want to use Twitter, or Facebook, Google, Microsoft account. So a very simple API to abstract you from having to go connect each of those identity providers and write code against each of those identity providers separately. So wired that up, and while I'm here, let me also wire up my session data. So I'll go ahead and just insert in my sessions. I'll go ahead and load in my sessions here as well, and let me go ahead and query them. F5 and run that app. Here's my application. Let's go ahead and log in. In this case, I'll select Twitter as my login. And you'll notice that as part of the Windows experience, we have the ability to sign in with our Twitter or Facebook account, whatever the case may be. And with that, you'll notice that I'm now authenticated as James Conn as my Twitter account. If I drill in here and take a look at this event, I can also go in and add some sessions. So for example, I'll add in, I'll just call it Keynote, and my Twitter account here. I think this room is 319. And store some of that data out in mobile services. So pretty quick and easy to go support authentication as well as data. But you may be asking, well, how do I customize that? How do I change that? Well, one of the things we're exposing with mobile services is the ability for you to go manage scripts associated with your data. If I go back over here to the Data tab, what you'll notice here for the session, for example, is not only can I browse in and look at the data, but I can also take a look at some of the scripts that are associated with it. What I'm going to do here is just add in a script to go and capture my Twitter profile picture via Twitter's APIs and store that as part of mobile services. And for sake of time, let me just pull in some code here, copy it in my clipboard, and just paste it in. So I have the ability to go run some JavaScript here that I'm going to, in this case, go out to Twitter's APIs, and I'm going to update the data that I'm storing here as part of mobile services. With a few seconds, I can go ahead and save those changes, and they've now been applied to my mobile service. In fact, if I go back to my app, just right-click, and I'll just add in another session here. I'll add in Keynote 2. In this case, we're not only storing the data, but we're also calling into that script. It's pulling in my profile picture from Twitter, or it could be any other data source, and I'm stuffing that into the data as well, into mobile services. So in just a few seconds, I can go customize those data services as well. So you've seen here how we can go auth, how we can go do data. The final thing I want to show you here with mobile services is support for push. And so you see on the push tab, I can configure push notification support for Windows, for Apple, as well as for Google. I've turned on Windows push notification support here. And to light this up, what I have here is another application that's developed on a Windows phone. So flip over here. So you'll notice here I have an application here. It's a similar Event Buddy application experience. Hopefully the network connectivity here is working for me. Should be able to log in here with my Facebook account. And when I do that, you can see it's pulling in, just application written against the Windows Phone SDK. It's pulling in that same event. I can view those list of sessions. And I can also go in here and rate some of those sessions. What I want to do here is actually customize this so I can actually turn on ratings. And when I turn on a rating, I rate a session, I actually get a live tile notification that's sent down to the Windows application. So to do that, of course, I got this wired up for data, but I haven't written any code to handle push. Let's go ahead and flip back to my other demo machine, and I'll show you how to do that. So let's go over to the data view here and go into session. Actually, let me just jump into rating. Okay. And go to the script tab. And you'll notice I don't have any ratings yet. In this case, I'm just going to use some script here, paste in some script. And what this script is going to do is it's going to go get access to the channel. Basically, that's the unique endpoint where I want to go send my notification. I'm storing as part of my app. And then I'm going to use the APIs that are exposed in mobile services for sending a Windows push notification. So I'll access the notification service. And in this case, I'll just go ahead and send an image and text push notification. Let me go ahead and save that. And to see this, I'll go back to the start screen. So you'll notice my live tile up there on the left-hand side. And as I go over to the phone, and I go ahead and apply the rating, we should see here in a few seconds, depending on network connectivity, is actually that rating show up right there on our live tile. And so I'm able to wire up push notification support as part of the data I'm storing and actually drive those push notifications, in this case, from a phone-based experience. One of the things, though, we just introduced with mobile services is support for HTML experiences as well. So let me show you how that works. Over here, I have an ASP.NET MVC application. And this ASP.NET MVC application includes some client-side JavaScript. And in fact, with that client-side JavaScript, if I go down here to the layout, you'll notice, scroll down, you'll notice that I'm actually taking advantage of the mobile service support for JavaScript and building HTML apps. I can connect up to the mobile service, my Event Buddy MS endpoint, just in a very similar way to the way I was handling my Windows Phone client or my Windows Store application. Let me go ahead and just run this here. Just running locally in this case. I can browse into events, and there's my VS Live event as well. And so just in a few minutes, you can see how you can go also take advantage of building HTML experiences now that surface the same type of data. As you think about the mobile application opportunity, of course, the opportunity to go build mobile apps that target each one of the devices, but also embracing the fact that people are going to be using HTML experiences as well and access those same back-end services as part of the application you may build. So lots of exciting stuff that we've been delivering and releasing within the mobile space over the last few months. With that, let me go ahead and flip back over here to slides here. So you've seen over the last hour the 4 different models we have for compute. They range from giving you direct access to that underlying infrastructure, allow you to spin up virtual machines, deploy, run, configure the code that you need to, and even connecting those instances to your existing on-premises environment to create a virtual network. You've seen how we can go really quickly create websites as well and deploy HTML-based workloads or even web APIs as part of Windows Azure websites, utilizing a variety of different deployment models. You've seen how you can go build multi-tier apps with cloud services, and finally how you can go build mobile services. There are a number of other services, though, that are exposed as part of Windows Azure today. I've really only touched on a few of the compute models that are available. In addition to those compute services, there's a number of these application or building block type services that you simply go up to the portal, turn on, configure, and then start writing some code against. The APIs for those codes are provided as part of SDKs or NuGet packages, and so you can build and write applications in .NET, PHP, Node, whatever language of choice you have, and they'll go configure and provision those services. So for example, if I want to take advantage of media capabilities, I could easily go and upload and deploy content up into media services and encode that content for surfacing in my own web-based applications. As of last week, we also introduced support for Hadoop and running large database workloads as part of Windows Azure as well. And so there are a number of key services that you can turn on and take advantage of in your application. There are a ton of sessions here that'll go into all of these services in a lot more detail than we're going to be able to do here in this hour. But I want to make sure that you're aware of all those services as well. One of the things we introduced back in October is, in addition to exposing services from Microsoft, is allowing our partners to also use Azure as a vehicle for selling and exposing their services. And so we did that with the Windows Azure Store. Straight from the Windows Azure Management Portal, I can get access to the Azure Store, and then through there, turn on services like SendGrid or New Relic for application monitoring, or get access to services like a scheduler service for running background tasks. If I want to go get access to data, there's data sets available from Bing. There's data sets available for performing IP checks and IP resolution. So a variety of different services I can go take advantage of. What's nice is that they use the same Azure management experience that you saw through all the other services. And in fact, what I can do is get access to the dashboards and the management configuration for these services straight from the Azure Management Portal. As a consumer of these services, they follow the same kind of model with everything else you've seen. The ability to go provision and pay for only the services that you consume, and do so with getting a single bill from Microsoft representing all your service consumption. And so I encourage you to check out the Windows Azure Store as well. So you've seen over the last hour a lot of demos walking through some of the key services. And hopefully you kind of see how you can fit your application within some of those different categories and some of those different service scenarios. What we're going to continue to do with Windows Azure is focus on these core tenets, making sure that we're turning on more and more features and services you can take advantage of that are flexible, allowing you to go run a variety of different types of workloads, that are open, continue to expose the SDKs as open source, and embracing open protocols, and focusing on just providing that rock-solid platform that you can depend on as part of your apps.